Hi! So for my DIY presentation, I decided that I would show you guys how you tack up a horse for jumping. So this is Fuegs. He's going to be my demonstration model today. So starting off with some of the materials we need, we're just going to start with a grooming box. We have all the tools in here that we'll be needing for today. So in any type of riding you do, the most important first step to tacking up a horse is going to be grooming. So you just don't want any dirt, well, really anywhere on your horse, but when you ride, you don't want any dirt where your saddle's going to be, because that can cause discomfort and cause the horse to act up, different things like that. So the first thing that we use for grooming is called a curry comb. It's rubber and it has like a little bristle type things on the end of it. So starting off with our curry comb, we're always going to start at the neck and then work our way back. And so with this, you just kind of rub it in circular motions, just like this. Be sure to get the saddle area really good. And this like breaks up all the dirt, loosens it, so that you can brush it off later. Next up, we have our hard brush and our soft brush, which are very similar things, and you can tell the difference. The hard brush has really like thick, hard bristles, and then the soft brush has like softer ones that are like easier to move. So after you use the curry comb, you're going to use the hard brush, and you just kind of take it and you just brush it over them, and like this helps bring up like all the dirt that you brought up with the curry comb. And then you do the same thing with the soft brush, but it's more of like a short flicking motion. And this just gives them that final shine. So next up we have the hoof pick, and this is what we use to get all of the dirt and mud caked into our horse's hooves out. So you just take it and you just pick on either side and just make sure all of that dirt is out. And it's really important because you want to make sure that your horse doesn't have any like stones or mud caked into their hooves when you're riding them, because that can obviously be painful and also cause injuries. So moving on into the next part of the video, I'm just going to talk about different types of saddles and why I use the specific saddle that I'm using today versus other ones. So this is a jumping saddle, and the reason that this is like considered a jumping saddle is because the seat is low. You can see kind of in comparison how a lot of seats come up higher than this. Also, we have short flaps. Jumpers usually ride with short stirrups, and this is called a knee roll right here. It's nice and padded. You can kind of see on the side how much padding there is in there. And that just supports you for different things that you do while you're jumping a horse. So here we have another English saddle, but it is for a very different discipline. This is for dressage. And you can already see one of the main differences in this saddle and the jumping saddle is that this one is black. It's black leather. And as I mentioned earlier, the seat is a lot deeper. You can see that this comes up a lot higher than it does on the other one. Another main difference is that the flaps are a lot longer. So like it comes all the way down here, because typically in dressage, you're going to have slightly longer stirrups than you would for jumping. And the knee roll on this one, it's also padded quite nicely, but it comes down a lot straighter. I'll show you a comparison. So you can see how on this one, it comes up way further. And then this one, it's more of just a straight down. Just because of the different disciplines and things that you do in each. On to the fun part. This is Fuego's least favorite part, but he'll be okay. So we have, first up we have the saddle pads. So this is gonna go, you can kind of see this point right here that's raised. This is called the withers. And so you always kind of want to put the saddle pad just like right at the top of the withers. And the rest of it, just kind of where the saddle's gonna be. You use a saddle pad because you don't want the saddle directly on the horse's back, and it also helps keep the saddle in place from slipping all around. And then we have this is called a half pad, and this just goes right on top of the saddle pad like that. That's just to provide a little extra support and cushion between the saddle and your horse's back. Next up, you're going to place the saddle on your horse's back. You just want it right on top of your saddle pad here. And as you can see, the half pad is underneath all of the saddle. And also there's, saddle pad here and saddle pad here, so that the saddle is not directly touching your horse's skin. Next up, we have a girth. So this is an English girth. The ones used for dressage are slightly different. The difference you'll notice in an English and dressage girth is that English girths, they can really be any color, but they're generally brown. And dressage girths are almost always black. So I'm going to go around and attach this on the other side. You're just going to reach underneath and you're going to pull it over to your side. And you might notice this little piece of fabric here. This is so that you can put your girth through there. And it just helps with keeping everything where it's supposed to be. So then you're going to lift the top flap up, and underneath is this other flap with these belt loop type looking things. These are called billets. So there's going to be 3 of them, and you're just going to attach the girth to the outside ones. I usually just put it on the first hole just to keep it in place, because whenever we go to get on, we'll have to tighten it because horses bloat, and so by the time you walk them out to the arena to get on, they will have let that air out and the girth can be pretty loose on them. And you want to make sure that it's tight enough that your saddle is not going to slide all the way around underneath them, because that has happened to me before and it's usually pretty embarrassing. So next up, I'm going to show you how to wrap a horse's legs. This is really important for jumping because it's a lot of impact on the horse's legs, obviously going over a jump, landing, all that sort of thing. There's lots of different types of boots or polo wraps that you can use. I just used polo wraps to support Fuego's back legs because he has kind of sensitive ankles and they can have a tendency to swell up and stuff. So this just helps with support. So whenever you want to wrap them up, you always start with the Velcro part on the inside. Normally people wrap these up after they're done using them, not me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you how to wrap them up as we're doing this. It's literally in my head, I think about it when you accidentally roll out too much toilet paper and then you have to roll it back up. This is kind of what that's like. These are a special type of polo wraps that helps support his back legs a lot. This part is really stretchy. And they're kind of like compression socks. That's kind of how I've had it explained to me before. So now I've gotten it all rolled up, I will go ahead and show you how to put this on their legs. So to start off, I always like to tie up our tail because sometimes it has a tendency to get in the way of what I'm trying to do. Just put it in a little knot. Okay. So starting with this leg, what you're going to do is you're just going to take the inside of this roll and put it on the inside of the top of their leg. Just starting right about there. It doesn't have to be too far up. So then you're just going to wrap it all the way down. Try and get it to stay in place. And that Velcro in there, and you just stick it to the Velcro, make sure it's secure. And I always like to stick my fingers in there and make sure that it's not too tight on either side. You should be able to fit 2 fingers in there, because if you wrap it too tight or if you wrap it with uneven pressure, that can actually cause damage to your horse's legs. So you want to just make sure that it's never too tight, because that's typically not a good thing. We're at the final part where we put the bridle on. This bridle is wrapped up, so I'm going to go ahead and unwrap it so we can put it on him. The first step to putting on the bridle is always taking the reins and putting them over your horse's head, because to put on the bridle you're going to have to take his halter off. And so you just want to be sure that you have something around the horse's head or neck so that you're not just letting them loose. Fuego knows how to stand, so he's not gonna go anywhere. But gonna slip those over his head. Oh, big yawn, big yawn. Get untangled from my halter here. And then this metal piece right here is gonna go in his mouth. He's usually pretty good about just taking it. Sometimes you have to coax him a little bit, but he took it real nice. I know, it's the worst. So then you just slip the top part over top of their ears. This is the brow band right here that's on his forehead. I just like to adjust it and make sure it's where it's supposed to be. These straps, if I can find the other one. I'll post it in there, sorry buddy. These are like, normally the bridles that I normally use have a throat latch. This one does not have a throat latch, so this is like kind of a makeshift nose band. You just put it in there. This just secures it so that it doesn't slip off over their head. And this part, this goes underneath the middle part of the bit, if you can see right here. And this just keeps their mouth shut so that they're not constantly chomping on the bit. So I don't like to do this one too tight, just tight enough, because Fuegs is pretty good about his bit. All right. Get that in that loop. Just make sure it's secure and stays on their head. So here we are, all tacked up and ready to go. In conclusion, there are lots of different types of tack for many different types of discipline, but this is how you put on jumping tack. I hope you guys took away something or learned something today that you didn't know before. This has been a really fun video to make. Thank you, Fuegs, for participating.